Welcome to Week 6 lecture. Our goal for this week forms around the relationship between different publics and campaigns, persuasion and publics, and creating awareness within campaigns. Aspects that are important to revisit and focus on as we have moved towards the pitch phase of the communication plan. Let's look at the first learning outcome for this week. The first is develop a clear understanding of the difference between client publics and communication campaign publics. Now we've looked at audiences and we've done that for our campaign brief, but now we're going to look at in a little more depth and a little more strategy behind it as you start thinking about how to develop things about the plan that perhaps the client might ask in the pitch. Let's backtrack a little before we work our way into the differences between client publics, the broader group, and communication campaign publics, the specific targeted grouping. So let's ask some questions as we move through this. What are the two types of publics in public relations? The first one is traditional publics, groups with which we have an ongoing long-term relationship. The next one is non-traditional publics. These are unfamiliar to an organisation, but has the possibility of becoming a traditional public. Another question that needs to be asked is, why is it essential to identify publics in public relations? Public relations is defined as the theories, concepts and models surrounding these three primary keywords: audiences, stakeholders and publics. Even though we kind of collect these under the one banner of audiences, they are three very different things when it comes to strategy. Developing a clear understanding of these aspects and their role in communication campaigns is significant because they help us understand and explain our public relations campaigns, and therefore determine how we plan and strategically align our communication to our target audiences, primary and secondary. So what are the five publics? Research by Groningen-Ripa, 1992, Hallowen, 2000, and 2001 divide publics into 5 groups based on the level of knowledge and involvement. In the script, you'll see this represented as a diagram. We have active, aware, arouse, inactive, and non-publics. So what is the difference between publics and stakeholders? Stakeholders are people who have a stake or interest in an organisation. Publics form when stakeholders recognise one or more of the consequences of the behaviour of the organisation as a problem and organise to do something about it. This is exactly what you're focusing on in relation to your topic. Let's now look at the second learning outcome, to identify the role of persuasion and influence in accessing communication campaign publics. First, we'll go back to our original definition before delving deeper into persuading and influencing campaign publics. Communication campaigns utilise a purposeful promotional strategy to change knowledge, attitudes, behaviour or policy in a specific intended audience via marketing and advertising techniques. These form around what we call the communication strategy or communication plan. Why is understanding your stakeholder publics and audiences so crucial to successful strategic persuasive communication? If you understand your customers' and stakeholders' desires and perceptions, you will realise which programs value them and what needs to be modified to offer better value. Communications with stakeholders can support decisions on how to allocate and focus resources to reduce waste. So why is persuasion necessary in public relations? When you find what others like, it gives you a foundation to talk about common interests. When common interests are discovered, it builds a trust in a relationship. Something as simple as noticing the brand or phone someone is using allows you to start a conversation. So what are persuasive communication skills? The goal of being persuasive is to influence others to think or act in a certain way. And the quickest way to do this is speak with them. Therefore, we're doing a pitch. Effective communication skills involve expressing yourself clearly, using non-verbal gestures and vocabulary that other person understands. This is where the pitch differs from the written document and gives you much more flexibility and agility to be able to persuade or influence through spoken communication. So persuasive communication involves getting attention, generating interest, creating a desire for change, and encouraging action. Now let's look at the final learning objective for this week. Creating awareness of the subtlety of communicating to specific publics in the context of communication campaigns' focus and objectives. So what is an awareness-raising campaign? Awareness campaigns typically are defined as sustained effort to educate individuals and boost public awareness about an organisation's cause or issue. In your particular topic or focus, this might form the complete process or the complete target or an element of it. And in almost every instant, they should educate those potential supporters about your issue or cause and generate new contacts for your donor database. So what is a public awareness campaign? A public awareness campaign is a marketing effort to build public recognition of a problem through media, messaging, and organised communication tactics. That's what we're going to do for Task 3. These campaigns target many people over a specific period to try and generate specific outcomes or achieve predetermined goals. Why are public awareness campaigns important? Public awareness campaigns are important because they can contribute to a policy change by putting pressure on policymakers and encouraging the community to take action. These campaigns can inform the community about a current problem by highlighting and drawing attention to it so that the information and education provided can solicit action to make positive change or betterment in society. How do you create a public awareness campaign? Here are some steps you can take to create your public awareness campaign strategy. Determine the topic and goals of your campaign. Your goals should focus on significant issues and include the SMART goals. There is a link in the script that allows you to access some explanation and more detail about SMART goals. We will focus on this particular aspect in our Week 5 Tutorial 4 examination, and that will be very useful in relation to aligning your actions and recommendations to your campaign objectives as you lead into the pitch. The second is to decide on the modality you will use to disseminate the information. Will you need special software like a website or email campaign generator? What will you need to spread your message effectively? These are some of the considerations you need to think about. Identify your supporters. If you raise awareness about an issue that impacts your local community, ensure you engage the community members. Once you have engaged your community members, you now have a network of supporters to help promote your cause. Fourth, engage community leaders and develop champions. Community leaders can share your message with specific audiences those other supporters may not be able to reach or even know about. These leaders are most often top business leaders, policymakers, or influential community members, most often linked to the organisation, not necessarily directly part of it. Create a media strategy. What types of media will you use to engage your community? How will you use social media to your benefit? Will you pay for ad space, which would have to be part of your budget? Will you contact your local newspaper for an article? How often will you share your message? And probably most importantly, who will be your contact person within the organisation to field those kinds of inquiries? Number 6, develop a comprehensive implementation plan. And this is what we're going to do for Task 3. It is essential to create a detailed document that calls explicitly out SMART goals and activities you will implement each step of the way of your campaign. The plan can help you keep on track and help you monitor your progress, which of course would then be part of the milestones of the Gantt chart or timeline. Check out the World Health Organization's Comprehensive Implementation Plan as an example for this particular approach. There is a link in the script that will allow you to access that particular plan. Number 7, tie into other efforts. This is where positioning and particular products, as in our campaign brief, details. Check out what other awareness campaigns exist in your community and learn from them. What works, what doesn't? How can you use what they have learned to ensure your campaign is a success? It also gives your particular strategies credibility because they've been successful. And lastly, number 8, fundraising and budgeting. You need to ensure you have a specific budget in place and have fundraising strategies in place as well. That will be the detail you'll provide later in Task 3. Meanwhile, you need to address that particular aspect in general form for the client for the actual pitch itself. That concludes our focus for Week 6. See you in tutorials.